Hello and welcome to this video demonstration of the MRF applications. MRF applications were highlighted as the newest and most innovative research in the ARVO meeting in USA in 2016. This is actually a set of 4 applications for testing various conditions and monitoring visual field loss and other things. But this demo is mainly about demonstrating the full visual field capability of the MRF application, which is also our main offering. So this is the login screen for the application. As you can see on the screen, you need to enter a username and password to log in, which I've already entered, and I'll get right into the application now.
Please select the account to test from the list, or you can add a new account.
So as you can see, there's also voice guidance provided in the application for the benefit of the user. There's a few things shown on the screen. I will not get into everything right now because I really want to show just the full visual field demonstration, but I will quickly talk about a few things. So ideally, the test should be performed using a viewing shield that we provide along with the application. But if it's not available, then the test can also be done without the viewing shield. The viewing shield does a couple of things. It helps maintain the correct distance from the screen for doing the visual field test, which the distance should be around 33 centimeter or 13 inches. And also the viewing shield helps to deflect or block any kind of reflections or other lights that can interfere with the visual field testing. And it provides a little bit of a dark environment to do the test. For the purpose of this demonstration, I will not be using a viewing shield. I will be doing the test without that. So we'll see how the test is performed without the viewing shield. But for general purposes, you should use viewing shield. That's the recommended option. Before I get into the other things here, I just want to say, normally one of the most common questions we get is that, how can full threshold visual field testing be done on a tablet, because the screen is small. So the answer for that is that the full threshold visual field testing up to 30 degrees from the fixation point is achieved on a standard tablet, which is 9.7 inches or larger, let's say 10.5 inches or 12.9, by patients changing their fixation to 4 corners of the tablet, following the fixation marker when directed during the test. And this change in fixation allows the visual field testing up to 30 degrees in the horizontal meridian and 24 degrees in the vertical meridian, which is suitable for visual field loss assessment. There is a lot of material, documentation, and material available for explaining the science behind the test and all the clinical studies and all, which are available on request. I won't get into them here right now, but this is more for demonstrating the test. So on the screen, as you can see, there's a few features that are visible. On the top left, you see that we can enable or disable the voice prompts, which means that the guided voice prompts can be heard if the option is enabled for the patient to help him do the test. If this is disabled, then there will be no voice and it will be quiet. The second option is the use keyboard option. So basically, if you are recommended to use a keypad which is attached to the tablet or the iPad, for doing the test. So the space bar on the keypad can be used as a response to the stimuli that is shown on the screen. But if the keypad is not available, then there will be a small square zone on the test, which we will see shortly, that can be tapped to respond to the stimuli on the screen. So if you are not using that, then you can disable it, but if a keypad is attached to your iPad, then you can enable that. Then the check viewing distance helps maintain the correct distance from the screen. So if you do not have a viewing shield, like I mentioned before, then you can use this feature to sort of approximately maintain that 33 centimeters from the screen, which helps do the test properly. On the bottom right here, you see a quick practice. So basically, you can also do a quick practice test before you do the actual test, just to enable your patient who are not used to this test, or who are old, or who are kids, just to give them a little bit of practice before they do the actual test. Also, you see your existing accounts. So the accounts feature basically allows multiple practices within a clinic to have separate accounts and use the same application, and also different doctors, let's say, in a clinic to use the same application. There is an account already created here, so I will use this one for now and go to the next screen.
Please press the test button for either the left eye or the right eye to start testing.
So this is the main screen that you see before we start the test. As you can see, there's the left eye and the right eye. Normally the test would be performed for one eye each at a time, and you would cover the other eye with a flap or with a tissue paper as is comfortable. Like I said, there's a few different offerings that we provide in MRF applications, and they are quite versatile and very useful. I'm not going to talk about all of them here because the purpose of this demonstration is the full visual field test. But basically, there's a query testing, which is of 3 types that's available. There's also central red testing, which does the central visual field. Then you got primarily visual field testing in this application that I'm going to show to you, and that is the full test, the screening, and the full grid. So basically, this is of, we can say that visual field testing can be performed by one of the 2 protocols, full test or full grid. The full test is the recommended visual field thresholding protocol, for testing the visual field, let's say for glaucoma or diabetic retinopathy. And this uses, a 67-point grid pattern with additional test points added in the macular region. It can test 30 degree into 20 degrees of the visual field, and a neighborhood logic is employed to expand the number of test locations in areas where visual field loss is suspected. So there is a slight variation between visual field tests that we do for diabetic retinopathy and for glaucoma, but primarily the idea is the same. So we're going to be showing the full visual field test in this demonstration. The screening test is basically a visual field test again, which performs a short screening test. So it's a shorter test lasting about 1.5 minutes, and the screening protocol here presents a stimulus of single intensity at each location of the visual field and covers the full 30 into 20 degrees. There's going to be a separate demonstration video for the screening test. So primarily we're going to be using a full test over here. Now, before I start the test, I just want to let you know, the first part of the test is basically for blind spot detection. And, the blind spot detection is an important step before we get into the full visual field test. And what it does is that it's performed at the commencement of the test, and basically depending on the size of the iPad, the fixation will move across to different locations on the screen, and MRF uses a blind spot monitor to gauge fixation accuracy. So this procedure is common to most perimeters. Sorry about this, I'll just get rid of this. The blind spot monitor procedure is common to most perimeters, and it starts the test by locating the person's blind spot, and thereafter it shows spots in the blind spot with the expectation that they should not be seen if the fixation is accurate. So that's what the the blind spot test does. So I'll start the test now. The first part will be blind spot test, like I said, and then we'll get in the main test.
Please keep your eye focused on the red dot in the center. Press the red square on the screen every time you can see a gray dot appear. Press the screen to start.
So as you can see, there's a fixation target at the center, which the patient is required to see for the entire duration of the exam. And there's a small touch area, the square touch zone, where the patient needs to tap in response to the stimuli. So I'll start the test now.
We will now test your left eye. Please close or cover your right eye. Please place the iPad 2 centimeters or 13 inches in front of you. The first Great. Now, keep your right eye covered. Use your left eye to focus on the red dot in the center. Again, press the screen every time you see a gray dot appear. Press the screen to start.
So this was the first part of the test. Like you see, the blind spot has been found, and now we'll get into the main test. Like the touch zone, like I said, will only be displayed when there's no keypad. But if there's a keypad, then the square will not be presented. So the test has now started, and I am doing this test while I'm making this video. So my results may not be very accurate, but basically this is just for demonstration purposes. I also want to point out, while I'm doing this test, as you can see, there's gray dots flashing around the fixation target, which the patient needs to respond to by tapping on the square zone. On the top left corner, you will see that...
Keep your focus on the red dot.
So that's also the voice prompts guiding the patient. But on the top left corner, you will see there's a real-time display of false positives and false negatives and the fixation losses.
Please keep your focus on the red dot.
So in this part of the screen, you can say there's monitoring of false positives, false negatives, and fixation losses, which will also be presented, by the way, in the results finally. So this test continues like this for some time. I also want to point out that if you're using a 12.9 inches tablet or an iPad, which is a bigger screen, then the fixation target will remain in the center. It will not move to the four corners of the screen. But because I'm using a 9.7 inch tablet for this demonstration, the fixation target will actually move to the four corners. So there will be four parts.
Keep your focus on the red dot.
So there will be four parts to the test. And in our experience, as per the feedback from the users and patients that we have tested on so far, thousands of them, the feedback that we've got is that there is a better experience doing it on actually a smaller screen tablet when the fixation target moves to the four corners, because patients get a break in between, and it's a better experience for them rather than keep looking at one point in the center all the time. So I'm doing this test. I'm tapping when I see the gray dot. You obviously can't see me, but I'm basically trying to maintain that distance and tapping on the screen. Now, for the purpose of the test, to make this quicker, I'm gonna actually come back when this test is forward a little bit, and then continue from there when it moves to one of the corners. So I'll just let the test go forward a bit. Okay, I'm back. So the test is still continuing, and you will notice that after a while the fixation target will change and it'll move to bottom left corner of the screen. You can also see at the top the false positive and false negatives that are quite high, because obviously my concentration is also on making the video and speaking.
Now keep focus on the red dot in the lower left corner. Again, press the screen every time you see a gray dot appear. Press the screen to start.
So now, as you notice, the fixation target has moved to the bottom left. So the patient is required to focus on the fixation target and tap, in response to the stimuli, which is the white dots that appear. So
please keep your focus on the red dot.
And the voice prompts keep guiding you. So I will again forward the test a bit just to make this demonstration a bit quicker.
Focus on the red dot in the lower right corner. Again, press the screen every time you see a gray dot appear. Press the screen to start.
So now you see the fixation target has moved to the bottom right, and in similar way the fixation target will move to all four corners, and then the test will finish. So we keep tapping.
Keep your focus on the red dot.
Tapping the screen. By the way, the voice prompts and the voice guidance is also available
focus on the red dot.
In other languages and not just English. So
please keep your focus on the red dot.
We can do it in local language as well.
Now keep focus on the red dot in the top right corner. Again, press the screen every time you see a gray dot appear. Press the screen to start.
Now the fixation target is in top right. Now I'll come back after a while when the test is almost about to finish.
Keep your focus on the red dot.
So you can see the results. So now we are in the final part of the test when the fixation target is the top left. And once the test finishes, we can see the results. The results can also be, are saved.
Please keep your focus on the red dot.
Are saved on the cloud and can be emailed, printed, and also the results can be used for trend and progression analysis once we have 5 or more tests for a particular patient, which is again a very powerful feature of MRF applications.
Please keep your focus on the red dot. Please keep your focus on the red dot. Excellent. The test is now complete for this eye. Press the screen or space bar to see your results.
Now
Press again to return to main screen.
Now we can see the results, and since the test is completed. So here are our results. I will talk about the results and interpretation of all the results, different parameters in a different video because it will make the video otherwise very long. But basically you can see all the main parameters are covered, like false positive, false negative, mean deviation, visual field index, and everything. So we'll talk about the results in another video. And you can also...
You have finished testing the left eye. Press the test button for the right eye to start the right eye test.
You can save the test, and like I said, you can email, print the results, and share them with other doctors or even with your patient if you want to. Thanks a lot for watching this video, and thank you.